Here's the truth. Most podcasts, they don't make it past episode 20. But today, we're actually kicking off season 3 of the Pursuit of Progress podcast here with my co-host, Ben. And it's been over 2 years. It's been over 100 full-length episodes, 0 missed weeks. This isn't just a milestone. It's a moment to pause and really look back. And really what started as a simple idea between two friends has grown into something that's impacted a ton of people and changed us in the process as well. So this episode today, guys, we're super excited to share it with you because it isn't about new goals or future plans. It's about the episodes that hit the hardest, the ones that sparked change, the ones that you guys actually told us made a real difference. So whether you're brand new here or you've been with us since day one, this episode is for you guys today. Let's celebrate the journey so far and the lessons that still matter most. Let's get into it. Before I do, Ben, just want to chat with you for a minute and welcome you back, and also just give you some props, man. This has been a fun last 2 years, and I'm really excited to see where it goes from here.
Did you say 2 years?
Years, yeah.
And over 100 episodes.
Yeah, we haven't missed a week since we started, so let's just assume 52, 104. We're a little over 100, and just been really fun to kind of see it grow, both in our size of our audience, but more importantly, just you and I just kind of enjoying something new, a new challenge, and it's been fun.
That's amazing. 2 straight years, 104 episodes, 0 missed weeks. You know who's smiling right now? James Clear.
Yeah.
Master of consistency and our number one fan.
And just while we're on that topic really quick, what was that stat? I remember when we first got started, we're just like literally day one. It was like the first few episodes, and we heard some stat where I'm going to butcher it, but it was like, 90% of podcasts don't make it past 3 episodes or, something like that. So kind of cool.
It's literally like episode 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
If you've made it past 4 or 5 on your podcast, you're in the top like 10% all time.
Yep. Well, guys, before we share these 5 episodes, what we're going to do is just kind of highlight, a piece or two of the episode that we really enjoyed, either personally or also just some feedback that we've gotten from the audience. But before we jump into those 5, I also just wanted to share. So, we have our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, and then full video version on YouTube. On Spotify, I get additional metrics at the end of the year. I don't know if you guys have Spotify with your music, but they always send out this music recap at the end of the year. It's super fun. They always show you what your top 5 songs you listen to the most were, 5 artists, all that kind of stuff. And they do that as well for the podcast. So just 2 just kind of fun things to share with you guys. The first was the top countries that tuned in over this past year. So season 2, top country number 1 obviously was United States, but in number 2, we had United Kingdom. Number 3, we had Australia. Number 4, Ireland. And number 5, France. So I thought that was just kind of cool just to see how this, the podcast is reaching people outside of the U.S. and in some places that were kind of unexpected.
That's awesome. What was the second stat you wanted to share? Yeah,
and the second stat's not really as relevant maybe for a lot of you guys, but our show is in the top 25% of videos on Spotify. So not all podcasts are video. A lot more these days are, but for the video podcast, we are in the top 25% of most engaged with.
That's awesome.
And viewed podcasts.
And that's on Spotify?
On Spotify, yep.
Top 25% on Spotify right here. And it's because of you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We'll just jump into it, Ben.
What was our 2025 word of the year? Because I know that you know this.
Yeah, I do. It was Ben. And my goal for this year is to say Ben a little bit less often. So I thought it was going to be or maybe so, but nope, it was Ben.
Hey, I'm not complaining. So these are the top 5 videos by our fans that were the most impactful for the last couple of years. And before we get into it, I just want to say, thank you so much. It's been so fun for me to go down this journey with you, and just kind of in theme with who we are and what this podcast is all about. We are still learning every day. When we started this, we weren't prepared. We didn't have all the answers. We still don't. We're still learning and growing, but to look back and see where we started, compare that to where we're at now, it has been so fun just to be able to learn, to grow, to share, to improve. We've had a couple guests on over the years, and I just really wanted to thank you for taking this, being the leader of this, growing. You were just highly skilled now with all of these different tools and platforms, and you have to upload it here and edit it like this. When you think back a couple of years, you didn't have any of those skills, and now you're an expert. So I wanted to really thank you and congratulate you.
Appreciate that. Yeah, we're right back at you, buddy. It's been a lot of fun, and we've seen a lot of growth both within ourselves as well as people that we've connected with that have tuned in over the last 2 years to the show. So, thank everybody. Thank you guys all for everything, and we're excited to have season 3 kicking it off. So,
Yeah.
yeah, Ben,
All
let's
right.
jump into it.
All right, well, let's jump into it. So this is video number 5. This is from season 2, episode 41. You can't be normal and expect abnormal results. Let me rephrase that. You can't be normal and expect abnormal results. This is one of our most shared, most talked about episodes from season 2. And it's a perfect reminder for the start of the new year. If you want the results that most people don't get, you can't live like most people do. You have to be okay with being misunderstood. You have to be willing to work the weekends, miss out on normal, and choose the path that most avoid. We used to use the stadium analogy on this one. If you want to earn $1 million a year, you have to outperform everyone in your entire graduating class. If you want to earn 10 million, you got to outlast your whole city. If you want to earn 20 million, imagine a football stadium with 35 to 50,000 people in it. You have to be the one who refuses to quit. This episode was choosing to be an outlier on purpose, especially in 2026. This message still hits. Love this episode.
Yeah, that was a fun one. I think that analogy that you were referring to on the stadium. So that was just talking about the number of millionaires, or more specifically, the odds of you becoming a millionaire. So, if you wanted to earn $1 million a year, you had to outperform a graduating class of about 2,000 people. About one in every 2,000 people is a millionaire. But again, to get that 10 million mark, you have to really outlast your entire city, meaning it's about, I think they were using the 15,000 range. And then for $20 million, you're looking at an entire football stadium of 35 to 50,000 people. So pretty crazy to think about it from those perspectives.
Yeah, and what I think about is I just love that Alex Harmozy quote. It's something that he constantly shares on his social media, and it's something that I've adopted and I really believe in. If you don't quit, you cannot lose. If you are willing to not give up and not quit, it is impossible to lose.
Yeah, success isn't that really confusing or difficult. It's pretty simple when you really think about it, but it's just following the basics and being consistent and not giving up.
And that's what we're doing. 2 years, 104 episodes, not one missed week. Tell
Yep.
us about video number 4.
All right, man. So this one is actually probably my favorite. So I'm glad that this was also one of the most watched, most listened to episodes. This is also from season 2. So this actually was only maybe about 2 months ago. It's about the RAS, the reticular activating system. So season 2, episode 46. If you guys want to look this one up, it's the RAS, your brain's filter for success. And again, this was like a light bulb moment for me. And I'm starting to now, because of the RAS, the reticular activating system, actually noticing more people talking about it. Just to kind of give you guys a little bit of a breakdown on what this episode was about. We unpacked the RAS, the reticular activating system, which is a part of your brain. And it's basically your brain's internal filter. It decides what you pay attention to, what you ignore, and just really what shows up in your world. We use the red truck example where once you buy one, all of a sudden now you're seeing them everywhere. Or a Tesla might be another good example for some of you guys. This isn't magic. It's just your RAS doing its job. But here is the powerful part. You can actually train your RAS. So you can teach your brain to see opportunity instead of fear, action instead of excuses, growth instead of problems. And I think heading right now into 2026, as we get into the end of January now, there's no better time to reprogram that filter and start focusing on what matters.
Yeah, and it's funny, you just kind of alluded to this, and I don't know if it's because we've done a couple episodes on this over the last couple of years, but you gave the red truck analogy there a minute ago, and it's like now I feel like I hear this term so much more. If you would have asked me a year ago, I could not even have told you what the RAS, the reticular activating system was, but now I feel like I've heard this come up and up and up, and every time somebody says it, I just automatically think of you because you're always talking about it. You're sharing what it is and how it impacts all of us. One of the ways that I have used this to grow as a leader is to just my approach with challenges. And so I have relabeled challenges, problems, and adversities as opportunities. And so whenever I have a problem in my life, I exhale, I acknowledge it, and I say, where is the opportunity here? How can I grow? And then all of a sudden, I'm not looking at all my problems. I'm looking at all of my opportunities.
But yeah, I'll kind of share one kind of a similar takeaway that you guys can maybe try implementing back home if this is something that's interesting to you. But I'm reading this book by I'm forgetting the author's name. It's Ninja Selling. So there's this whole
Okay.
framework of sales called Ninja Selling, and they talk a lot about the reticular activating system, and it actually ties also though into people that not necessarily journal, but people that write out daily affirmations. This is a big exercise that they implement in this Ninja
Okay.
Selling program, where they have their students where every day for a month. You can't miss a day. You got to be very consistent about this. But every day in the morning, you spend about 10 minutes and you just write down two affirmations, something that you're just really wanting to get in your life.
Yeah.
And you have to be really careful about how you phrase this. It's not, I want to be a millionaire. It's got to be very specific. I make, 250, I make a salary of $250,000 a year, and I live in a new house. You have to kind of go a little bit step further to really put this into your reticular activating system and into your brain in a way that it can
Mm,
kind of almost create this in its brain, in your brain, in your mind. By doing this on a consistent basis, these daily affirmations, this is actually a way that you're training your reticular activating system. You're training your
mm,
brain to then not just, hear you say this to yourself every day, but actually you're in a way kind of tricking your brain into thinking that this is now the new normal. So instead of just wanting something, you actually are acting like that person today, and then
okay.
now your reticular activating system is also really identifying these opportunities, these, ways that you can hopefully progress in your life. So there's a lot more to the RAS than just a fancy acronym and something that maybe sounds confusing to you guys. Definitely look into it if it's something that you guys really want to work on this year.
And so going back to the book really quick, so is that the benefit of writing this down every day, is that you kind of subconsciously at first, and then maybe a little bit more intentionally take on the identity or the beliefs or the values of whatever it is you're trying to achieve?
Yep. And I wish I could remember, they call it something specifically. It's a type of a consciousness. And so it's not subconscious, but there's another word for that, where
Okay.
you basically your brain has two consciousnesses, and one of them is what you're really working on with the RAS.
Okay, interesting.
So
I'm glad that you brought that up because I shared this on this podcast before, but I started a gratitude journal last year. A little bit different than what you're referencing as far as affirmations and writing down some of those things, but I still got in the habit of writing down 5 things that I'm thankful for every single day, and I feel like that's changed my life
yeah,
because
sure.
I just feel so blessed, and I think when you're a little bit more intentional with those things, and I'm not like writing out pages at a time as far as what in my gratitude journal. A lot of times, I'm writing down like one sentence usually for like each thing that I'm thankful for. But what it does though, it unlocks your mind and your consciousness. What you were just describing, to where I have so much to be thankful for, and we had Christmas, and sometimes people like to ask, what do you want for Christmas? And what did you get for Christmas? Tell me about some of the gifts that you got. And I've never been that person. I just feel, if everybody else is happy, I'm happy. I'm so blessed. I have so much to be thankful for. I don't want anything. I don't need anything. And I feel like the gratitude journal has just really transformed my life. So thank you for sharing that. And I'm going to go home and I'm going to start. I'm going to add that to 2026. I'm going to add that on top of the things that I want to be thankful for. What is the who's the new Ben, or the Ben that I'm envisioning? How does he behave? How does he act? How much does he earn? How many investment properties does he own? I'm gonna write that stuff down.
And then one last caveat to this, you guys. This also works in the opposite negative way. So if you ever
Yeah.
have those people that you come across in life that just seems like they always have something bad happening to them, it's because instead of being optimistic, they have very pessimistic thoughts that start their day. And that's just what their now reticular activating system is trained to think is the actual reality. So they're identifying negative things and really focused on that to a point where it's bringing them down. So this is something that you have to really be intentional about making it work for you in the right direction.
And you know what Robert Greene, author of 48 Laws of Power, would say about that? He would say, avoid those people. Avoid the unlucky and people that focus on their problems. You want to not even allow those people into your circle. Video number 3 of the last 2 years. Again, this is the top 5 videos and podcasts over the last 2 years, 100 episodes. Video podcast number 3, season 2, episode 52. And this is what this podcast is all about, the power of starting ugly. If 2026 is the year that you're finally going to launch, finally go public, finally commit, this is the episode you want to go back and play. We created this one to call out every perfectionist, overthinker, and the someday dreamers stuck in planning mode. Here's the short script I shared in that episode, just to kind of recap everyone and provide a little bit of a preview. Done is always better than dreamed about. You don't need more prep, you need more reps. Your messy first version is the price of entry. We've heard people that have launched businesses, started content channels, and had tough conversations just because they finally gave themselves permission to start ugly. This one still gives me chills. And if you're stuck, go back and revisit this one. And I got to tell you, Adam, this is one of our best episodes. And I love the power of starting ugly.
It's our whole what we were talking about when we started the episode today, talking about 100 episodes and what we started doing on episode 1, 2, 3, and just how it's a slow process, but you get better every time you do something. And this is an example of we could have waited and worked on our verbal skills and different things that make the top podcasters stand out among the others. And instead of that, we just we're not perfect, but we're also raw, we're authentic, and we're just very intentional about just trying to learn at least one thing from each episode to implement and be a little bit better on the next one.
One thing that I took away from this episode was I now share with my kids and others the goal, and especially with our education system, there are so many young people, and our education system teaches this, where when we have tests and we have grades and SAT, ACT, college admissions, so many students feel like they have to be perfect. They have to pass the test or get the good grade. And what this is about is the goal is to not be perfect. It really is all about the reps. The more practice that you get, the more reps that you get, the more content that you make, you're going to improve. You're walking through the fire. This is something that's really helped me now, where if I have an idea, something that I want to start, I just go. I just go do it. I just start, even if I'm not ready, even if I'm not prepared, because I know that the answer, like the path will reveal itself as we're going down the road. Even though I have no idea, I can only see 10 feet in front of me. I don't even know where the path leads, but as we start walking down that road, it will reveal itself.
Well, so the number 4, so we're down to just the last 2 here. It's actually from season 1. So it's the first one where we're back into the first season, actually episode 17 on season 1. And I know we've done this kind of in different formats on a few episodes. And I think this is just one that we both are really passionate about. And also it's just something that gets talked about a lot when we're on the topics like self-growth, motivation, improvement, all that kind of stuff. But it's momentum beats motivation. And this was definitely one of the earlier breakthroughs and still one that holds true going into 2026. But it's, motivation is great, but it's unreliable. Momentum, on the other hand, that's earned and that's built. So that episode is a little bit more about like the motion over emotion. It broke down how you don't need to feel ready to take that first step. You just need to take action, just to move. Because, once you build that momentum, progress gets a little bit easier every time, and that confidence gets stronger. You get more confidence, clarity also becomes much, much louder. So if you're feeling stuck already this year, as we're only a couple weeks into the 2026, go replay this episode again. It's season 1, episode 17, Momentum Beats Motivation. It's your jumpstart.
Yeah. And one thing I love about this episode, we talk about, there are so many of us that make the mistake where we get so focused on the destination or the goal, when the reality is that what the gift is the journey. And it's the problem of self-discovery. It's figuring out who you are, how to overcome adversity, and becoming the person you need to be able to get to that destination. Maybe it's a certain income, it's a certain job, it's a career, it's finding the right spouse. It's very rewarding when you can because it allows you to appreciate the trials and the adversities that you're going through on your way to the destination. And then when you get to the destination, you realize that, you know what, this is just one mountain peak. I get to this mountain peak, I can see 10 more in the background. I always use the Super Bowl analogy, and hopefully I can use this analogy again this year. I always go back to that 2015 Broncos Super Bowl, Peyton Manning's last year. And you're going through the season. There were so many ups and downs. They end up winning the division. They're the number 1 seed in the playoffs. They end up getting to the Super Bowl and then winning the Super Bowl. After you won the Super Bowl, though, it's like it's all over at that point. And it really is the journeys. And so you have to learn to appreciate everything with the journey, the growth, the ups, and you have to learn to appreciate the challenges and the downs too. All of that is what creates who you are and the person that you're called to be.
True. Let's hear the last of the five.
This is video number 1, voted by our fans. Season 2, episode 53, The Compound Effect: How Small Habits Create Massive Results. And if you'll recall, we ended season 2 with this one, and it absolutely blew up. Our biggest, most impactful podcast to date. Because once we showed the math, something clicked for people. If you save $8 a day, that comes out to $3,000 a year. Read 20 pages a day, that's 30 books a year. Walk 10,000 steps, you've run 70 marathons in a year. Think about all those things I just referenced. Is $8 a day, is that big of a deal? $3,000 a year. Read 20 pages a day. Big deal. It's 30 books a year. Walk 10,000 steps. You have run or walked 70 marathons throughout the year. Unreal. This episode reframes success. It's not about going big. It's about going daily. Tiny actions done consistently become unstoppable. If you've got big goals for 2026, this is the formula that's going to get you there.
Yeah, I think compound effect really was kind of hitting home for me this past week when Warren Buffett announced his retirement finally.
Yeah.
And just thinking about how the reason he's in the place he is regarding his record-breaking wealth, he's one of the wealthiest men in the world for decades, is his understanding of compound effect. And not related necessarily to his habits, but just, somewhat to his habits, but just leaving the money in the markets too, and just that compound effect. But just very, very, at a big scale with somebody like Warren Buffett.
I love Warren Buffett, and I'm constantly reading up on him. I've read his biography. Did you know that he started his first investment at the age of like 7 years old? He bought a farm when he was 10.
I did not
And so
know that.
he's over 90. I think he's like 94, 95 now. And so you want to talk about compounding? Well, give it 80 years of compounding, and that's what he has done. And what was it? A dollar invested back in 1960 when he started Berkshire. Do you recall what?
Isn't it like almost 2 million or something?
Yeah, it was something insane where it was like
One
$1
point.
invested in
Yeah.
1960. Yeah, it was just some insane number. There's only one portfolio that's beat it.
Ray Dalio? No.
Nancy Pelosi. That's the only portfolio that's outperformed Warren Buffett.
Well, I'll leave it at that. Okay. All right, guys. Well, with that being said, hope you guys got some value out of this one. Any of these 5 episodes that maybe hit home to you guys today, definitely check them out. Give them a listen. That's a wrap on the first episode of season 3. And honestly, it feels surreal to say that 100 plus episodes, 2 full years. We're just getting started. To those of you guys that have been part of this journey from day one, we're really grateful. And to our new listeners, welcome. There's so much more to come. This year, we're taking things deeper, sharper, and without a doubt, much, much more focused, more tools, more actionable steps, more behind the scenes from what we're actually building. But before we move forward, just take a second, look back, because progress isn't just about what's next. It's also about how far you've come. We'll see you guys next week. Until then, keep moving forward. And thanks for being part of the pursuit of progress.
Love you guys.